Anything that costs you your peace, pioneers, is way too expensive. No, no, don't buy that. You can either suffer through the pain of discipline or you can suffer through the pain of regret. A meaningful life is not about being rich or popular. It's not about being highly educated or your employment status. It is definitely not about being perfect, that's for sure. A meaningful life is about being ready to accept who you really are. It's about being real, and it's about being humble and being strong. Most importantly, it's about being able to share our true, authentic selves and touch the lives of others. It's about being you, pioneers. What you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality one day. And what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And what gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset becomes an unconscious activity, an unconscious action. And I've always just wanted mine to be guideful, helpful, and nurturing to others, pioneers. It's about giving a man or woman a fish so that they can eat for a day, but then leaving them that fishing rod so that they can eat for a lifetime when you teach them how to fish with that fishing rod. But before you leave along your journey, also teach them how to farm so that they can then feed nations. I come out here and I do my work for you, pioneers, so I certainly hope you're doing well wherever you are out in the matrix today. Sending you all much love and high vibrations on this wonderful, beautiful Miércoles, Wednesday, the day of Mercury. Some things that we're going to talk about. Really exciting to bring forth and share with you all this decode today. I do believe it's going to be a really good, eye opening decode that's going to share with you all some things that are happening on the world stage and what might be happening in the future. Um, you know, we'll be touching base on a lot of things that we've talked about in the past, since the beginning of the year, February time frame, as well as the beginning of March. Our recent Super Bowl, Skull and Bones, 322, etc. Some very important, profound, exoteric and esoteric connections that we make here on the Daily Candle Close News to get some bullish calls that we make here. We've recently seen Bitcoin breaking back above, we'll show you right here, 39K, a range that we've yet to hold multiple daily closes above, holding support, to come back and retest this after a false breakout of our 2236 Fibonacci extension level, dating back to our 69K top. Is where we pulled this dead cat bounce Fibonacci extension retracement level from. And we've had a false breakout going back to yesterday as well as today, overnight, of this 236 in that 41K range. Almost getting up there to that 42K range that we know is very important, that goes back in time, we've talked about. Bitcoin's highly tied to this number 42, through its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. We know when we type that out, give me a second, we'll talk about St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. But Satoshi giving us that 24, the mirror of 42, as above, so below. So highly tied to this right here, not surprising. We know when we get above that 42K and start to hold multiple daily closes above that, above our 236, and above this 39K range that we have failed to get back above and continue to hold multiple daily closes above as support. So something we've been keeping an eye out here for on the Daily Candle Close News. We know recently we've had a very key number that we've been exposing on this channel for over a month now, and that is the number 322 or 322 or 223, the skull and bones number. Something that we've exposed going back in time on some multiple videos with some very profound connections as to why we saw things like the end of the Super Bowl or the start of the war, and multiple other connections here around the time frame of breakouts, etc., for cryptocurrency. So something very interesting we'll be talking about today in this video as well. Something that you might want to take note of how these numbers have played out recently. We know that we've talked about the Tiger being the year of the Tiger this year, and the Cincinnati Tigers has showed us to be a pretty bearish aspect. We know Jupiter has its both good luck and bad luck symbologies, and the Tiger right now showing us that it's used right now as a bad luck or bearish symbol that we're paying attention to. Also around that number 15. Just some conclusions that we've came to in our work lately that we're going to be bringing up today. As we can call our 121-day top from our 69-day top to our day before 314 high day where we saw Bitcoin come up 5.01% on Monday. Moon Day was Pi Day 314. And, that's highly tying us back into, of course, the moon. You guys giving us that same 15 and 51 connection here. So very important to see Bitcoin pump up 5.01% on Monday, Moon Day, right here, 2 days ago, on 314. Very, very powerful. We know this is also really the first true month of the year when using the occult's real calendar. And this is very important because that would be a day that symbolized 144. And that's very important in our work. We know that ties us back into deoxyribonucleic acid. Your Jacob's ladder, your DNA. And I've totally spelled that wrong. Deoxy. There's supposed to be a Y right here. Deoxyribonucleic acid, giving us that very powerful 114, where we saw this Pi Day breakout on 314, again being the true first month of the year, 114. So we get that connection there in every one of us, ladies and gentlemen. We also know that that ties us back into the magic square of Saturn. Again, Bitcoin highly tied to this Saturn. Chronos, Father Time, Satoshi Nakamoto is Saturn. Okay, Satoshi, Sat, Santa. Very powerful connections we've made here. And again, that 66 that we've spoken about in a recent video. But, of course, we know when we type out Lord God, we also get that 114, so very powerful. That 33, we know Jesus prophesied for 33 years, died at the age of 33, so very powerful connections to this 114 Pi Day, where we saw Bitcoin break out on 314, 3.14, 5.1%, being the 59th day of the year, okay? This 73 we know is the 21st prime number. Bitcoin's highly tied to that number 21 and Saturn again. So very powerful. Oh, it's supposed to be 1R. Sorry, you guys. But again, that 21 connection there. So not surprising to see this on the 59th day of the year, as I stated. A day that we know ties us to the Tiger. This year is the year of the Tiger. So not surprising. One bullish connection we've seen all year to this since we started February 2nd, the first true day of the year of the Tiger. The only bullish connection I've found right here. It all comes back to Pi Day and coming back full circle. So, very important. We'll continue on. When we look at this really quickly and take a note of our upcoming full moon 2 days from now on March 18th, 318, and we tie that back to some important dates like, say, Rosh Hashanah, start of the Jewish Hebrew New Year, and the sabbatical year, the Shemitah, meaning release, a very powerful 7-year period that we bring up. We know these full moons are typically bearish energy 3 to 5 days before on or 3 to 5 days after the full moon. We know they bring this bearish energy in a typical microcycle low in the structure. And I'm going to show you that bottom that I do believe we're starting to see here take place. If we were to zoom in on the price charts and take a look at today being 316, take back one. Well, we'll go over 2 days from the start of the full moon, like we're talking about. So the 17th tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for green tomorrow. You better wear it or you'll get pinched, right? So we'll pay attention to what kind of candles we get, a green or a red tomorrow. Very important. Um, but again, 1, 2 today, 3 yesterday, 3 to 5 days before we tend to get our microcycle lows. Well, 5 days we were right here on the bottom of our trend line and have been bouncing up in structure since. So this may be the low that we get right here around the full moon and the bearish energy. We'll have to continue to wait and see how this full moon on 318, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 323, right after 322, skull and bones, you guys. So very important, that connection there. So we'll have to continue to wait and see how this time period plays out as well, exiting the energy of our full moon and lunar cycle. So very important. This is typically our lowest moment 3 to 5 days before or after. So they tend to ramp up moving into the new moon, being very early April, you know, being right there around the first of the month, I do believe. That 4-1, that 1-4 written internationally, I believe is when our new moon in April comes. So very important to pay attention to there. We know that energy that's new moon energy that's bullish can tend to come in 3 to 5 days before the new moon. So that's going to play a big role in how this plays out moving forward. Of course, today, again, is March 16th. So, boom. Being 6 months and 9 days since the start of the Jewish Hebrew New Year and the Shemitah. We know that's a very important connection because Bitcoin hit a 69K top even during the Shemitah year. So very powerful connection to what we're seeing today and last night as we saw this price increase all the way to a high of 41,718. So very bullish. We know that 41 today being a 6-month, 9-day connection is strictly tying us back into skull and bones. Again, when you add this day up, 3 plus 16 plus 22, you get 41, the mirror of 14, as above, so below. And we know we get that 41 when we type out skull and bones. So again, very powerful connections that we're seeing here. Undeniable. So very important. Wanted to bring that up right there as to why we were seeing this price action increase today, just as well as like we saw on Pi Day, the 5.01% increase, because it was 6 months and 7 days since the start of Rosh Hashanah and the Shemitah, the Jewish Hebrew New Year, which we get 76 in skull and bones, which is the mirror of 67. So very important connections here that we're getting. Undeniable, ladies and gentlemen. So very important. All right. Tomorrow being St. Patrick's Day, we'll go ahead and talk about that really quickly. You saw it at the beginning of the video. We know St. Patrick tomorrow, giving us that 117. Very important because that ties us back into Bitcoin. Oh, giving us that 117 and 36 that we got in St. Patrick's Day. That 117 and 36 connection there. So very important right there, as well as Ripple coin. And there are some other 117 connections with some cryptos that you'll have to do your own due diligence on. But Ripple coin giving us that 63 as above, so below, and that 117, the same 63 that we got in St. Patrick's, as well as that 43 that we've spoken about extensively on this channel. So very important. We see in St. Patrick's Day, when we type it out fully, we get that 49, tying us back into our friends at Judaism. 49 is 7 squared, 7 times 7, that's 77. Script, matrix, power, 77. And that's important because St. Patrick's Day is giving us that 37 that we can perceive as the 3 sevens that are lucky in the jackpot in the casino. The 777, that very biblical, powerful number. We know Bitcoin's finally holding support, above that 37K that we were just at right here on March 13th, the day that transitioned into Pi Day, ladies and gentlemen, 114 or 3.14, 314, March 14th. So very powerful connections here, showing us as to why we're seeing this finally break back above the 236 of our dead cat bounce and take us up to 41K before we see our rejection, clearly tying us back into skull and bones here. So just very important connections. Understanding these numbers in this code will give you an edge on how this market operates, I do believe. One other thing about the day of the full moon that I have is it's going to be the 77th day of the year, 318. And we know the sevens, as I've stated, are very powerful because we're currently in the year of the Shemitah, the Jewish Hebrew sabbatical and release cycle. The Sabbath is a 7-year cycle, so it's very powerful. It's practiced in Judaism and plays a big role in the energy of financial markets as well as the economic scene on the world stage. In legislature or war, something chaotic typically happens because the people that are running this dome, the apex predators, their motto is Ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos, ladies and gentlemen. Everything they do is as above, so below. It's all mirrored. It's all about time. It's all about trapping in you in the linear timeline. So you get stuck in this 3D matrix and you put your faith in this nonsense that they share with you so they can control you through age and calendar dates and etc. It's deep and extensive when you break it down. You have to do your own due diligence and research. We'll go ahead and skip on. But just for instance, take a look at the pandemic and how they trapped the world in fear because they were afraid that they were going to pass away and die because of a germ. Very powerful mind control tactic. And we've exposed that for 2 years here on the Daily Candle Close News. And this is why we see them moving on from the pandemic to war, because they need another cover story, an invisible enemy. This is a very broad tactic and optic, because optics and tactics are very important, that they use to control the minds of the masses. So it's very important to see how the numbers play an amazing role in this day in and day out. Anyways, this being the 77th day of the year, that's something to consider, as well as we know it transitions us out of St. Patrick's Day, which gave us that 63. As above, so below connection to the 36 we know we get in Bitcoin. So we're watching the next 2 days very closely. Has our bearish energy already came in 5 days before the full moon, and we're going to continue to see this pump towards the upside, or will we get one more low coming in around that very scripted 322 date that's tying us back into, I'll go ahead and pull it up for anyone that's new watching this video, skull and bones, or connections we've made with skull and crossbones. Hopefully we're not experiencing too much lag, you guys. There we go. Yep, hopefully you're not stuck behind, and I've just rambled on this whole entire video. But Skull and Bones giving us that 322, March 22nd. So very powerful. Again, in the occult, this is the true first month of the year. So that's giving us 122. So we know that ties us into one of these elected leaders on the world stage. Pope Francis. So, going to be paying attention, giving us that 122 as well as that 59 in the year of the tiger. So, very important. We get that 58 as well. We know we get that in Puppet Master, Remote Control, and Tetragrammaton, as well as that 51 we get in Moon. So, very important connections. 175 is nothing, no prime number or anything. So, again, that 122 being a very important date as well. Tying us back into the Pope, Society of Jesus, the Jesuit Order, and Skull and Bones, the Brotherhood of Death. That 322, we know we get in Skull and Crossbones, which is that is their logo, ladies and gentlemen, the Skull and Crossbones. 223. Very important. We know recently we've made connections here on the Daily Candle Close News as to why we see the US dollar currency ripping and roaring. And well, it's very simple because when you type out US dollar currency, oh, what do you get? 223, ladies and gentlemen. 56. The US dollar currency is also used as mind control. Point blank period, just like everything else that gives us the 56 connection, like toilet paper, that they had the masses running to the shelves to get 2 years ago during the C word pandemic. Because again, well, it gives us, and when I spell it right, it gives us the 56. So very important, that 43 again that we've made connections to. So very important. 43K is the next target for Bitcoin that we're looking to see break out. Then head to 47K. So very important connections. Just have to reiterate some of our work that we've done in the past in this decode that I'm giving with you all today. We were talking about this full moon day and making the connections to, you know, everything we're seeing that stands out in the year of the 7, the Shemitah, the 77th day of the year. Just very powerful. And we know we're in the matrix, ladies and gentlemen. And, it's ran on a script that these elites run it on. Again, script giving us that 41. We're sitting at 41K right now, ladies and gentlemen. And power. Take back your power. Ultimately, this 77 ties us into the synagogue of Satan. When you type that out, you get the 77. So very powerful. Undeniable connections there. As well as this day, 2 days from now, the full moon being and connecting us back to Rosh Hashanah, a day that gave us 115. Lucifer gives us 115, ladies and gentlemen. But this being 6 months and 11 days, we know that's a very unique connection that we make here on the Daily Candle Close News. It's not too often that we get this 611. We get the 116 every Thursday when we see that number. But this 611 is very important when it ties us into, again, the brother. Sorry, I gotta get on that page. The Brotherhood of Death that we're talking about. Again, skull and bones. So very powerful connection. We've got to pull up all ciphers to get that. Being in the Jewish cipher, we get that 611. So very powerful connections to the Brotherhood of Death. And the 611 connection 2 days from now on the full moon. This ultimately ties us into a lot of other 116 connections, the mirror of 611, terrorist attacks, 116, the great mystery of Babylon, 116, unnatural disaster, 116, celebrity sacrifice, 116, the Second Great Depression, 116, as well as the Federal Reserve System, 116, all very important things that we need to be paying attention to on the world stage. Again, Brotherhood of Death giving us that 187, which is the murder code, the penal code, as well as 83. The 83 we get in murder. So very important. 3883, as above, so below. Listen to the Police's Synchronicity album that they released 38 years ago in 1983 about the elite who played a game that was played by the numbers. And it's very interesting. It's called Murder by Numbers. So, very important. Let's see what that gives us. It's been a long time since I've looked that up. Not surprising, giving us the 72, the 27, the mirror of 72, as well as that 53 we made connections to. You know, we'll just make it short, giving us that same 53 in the same cipher, ladies and gentlemen. So, undeniable, very important things. And we'll move on because I don't want to continue to drag this decode out. But I just wanted to make it very educational and informational the best I could for you all. You know, we're stuck in between psyops, and it's important that we pay attention to everything using our common sense and the knowledge that we've been taught that we've overlooked in our life. Another date that's very interesting coming up is this astrological new year or the vernal equinox. Uh, what's the other thing that they call it? Spring equinox. So very important. This is the 79th day of the year, and that's very important because that ties us back into September 7th, the start of Shemitah and the sabbatical year, which was 9/7 given to us on the Gregorian calendar. We know that September is sept equals 7. Okay, so it's really the 7-month, 7th day, making another 77 connection to what we've been talking about today. So as well, the 97 as above, so below, 79th day of the year. Important connection we're making here. We know that this is a number that ties us back into gold. And I know you don't get that right here, but I'm about to show you. There's that again, 38 connection we've made tonight. But this 79 ties us back to Ukraine, a player we're seeing on the world stage right now. And 79 is the 22nd prime number. And we know it ties us to gold because 79 is the sun. It's gold. Gold is the sun, is what I'm saying there. But when we type out gold and we look it up by its alchemical symbol on the periodic table of elements, type in element and symbol. We'll get it to pull up then. But we're getting the 79 right there. The alchemical number and symbol for gold is AU, the 79th element. So very important connections that we're getting right here. Again, pay attention to this 196. We'll add that in a minute as well. But Ukraine tying us back in right here, giving us that 79 as well. We know 79 is the 22nd prime number, and we get that 22 as well in Ukraine in Chaldean. And that's so important because we're in the Shemitah year. Shemitah. And it's in the 5782 year in Jewish Hebrew New Year. Oh. So again, giving us that 22 as we're in the 2022 year, and most of us write it 22. So again, very important, tying us into gold here. The ticker symbol we know is AU, giving us that 22. So very important, gold highly tied in right here. Its name is Aurum, is how they pronounce that there. Again, pronounced AU on the periodic table of elements, giving us that same 22. This is a day that is 3/20, March 20th, again, 3/20. So remove the 0, we get that 32 as well. So pretty important. 14 is the mirror of 41 we've been getting in Skull and Bones. So it gets pretty crazy when we continue to break this down. Recently, we've saw the gold price. If we look at gold on the charts, we saw it hit its March top on 3/8, March 8th, 38. And when we typed out gold, did we not get 3/8? Very important. Your gold, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, you know, But when we show you the connections here as to why we see gold hit a $2,070 top, removing the zeros, we get 27 and a 42-cent high. So 2,070 and 42, 27 and 42. Again, tying us into some very powerful connections we've made. So undeniable as to why we saw this on March 8th hit a manipulated high of what it hit on 3/8, tying us into gold 38. And your gold, see that 20? You see this 17? See, you're the player that they harvest in this game of life, giving you that 77 connection that we've made tonight, giving you that same 20. It's your mankind, giving you that 17 that you get in gold. You're the gold that they harvest, ladies and gentlemen. So, very important connections here. So, as to why we saw gold hit a high on 3/8, we know why. This is again Kabbalistic black magic. So, very important that we pay attention to. Again, the same 38, 20, and 17 connection because they use this Kabbalistic black magic against man. Very important. Very important. We can really dial in and see what's going on the world stage and play the news when using this code. We can make decisions that will change our lives by utilizing this. We've been able to do it with Pluto's return or Platinum Jubilee, with the Super Bowl, with war news or new variants that I've been exposing since January 5th that they've now came out and told you have came and merged together and fucked and had a baby. And it's crazy. I've warned for 6 months in America that these lockdowns are coming back because they're losing the narrative of this chicanery and nonsense that we've witnessed for the last 2 years. So when they tell you that you cannot work your jobs to provide a livelihood for your families, or you can't shop here, or you can't do this, what are you going to do? Are you going to cower down like you did the first time? No offense, but we saw how willingly some people screamed, "You're going to kill your grandmother." And then they shoved their arm out without a single bit of evidence on these inoculations coming out that we now see have caused some to get AIDS and others to die. Point blank, period. The first drug on the world stage that they've pushed full court press on you and are blaming every other participant that did not participate on its effects and outcome. Imagine that. School physicals for our children are now getting denied because they've shown inoculation status. And the effects cause heart problems. This is just like the 80s and 1941, Berlin, Germany, all over again, ladies and gentlemen. And it's time to take a stand. I don't care what side you're on. There's no sides. It's just it is what it is. But we've got to be morally and ethically smart and do what's best for the generations to come. So enough nonsense and ranting and raving. But I'm particularly interested in, this transition date of the 20th of March, tying us back into 79 and the connection there. We know we get one more connection to gold here when we go from Rosh Hashanah all the way to 3/22. This is the 42nd anniversary of not Skull and Bones, but Georgia Guidestones, ladies and gentlemen. Do your research, where it states in 13 different languages that billions of people need to be eradicated from Earth to get back in perpetual harmony with nature. And you can find the beauty in that if you want to, or nonsense. But how is it being done is the question here. And where did this come from 42 years ago? When it just showed up overnight on 3/22. We know the Antichrist reigns for 42 months in Revelation. So this 42 is very powerful as we get ready to head into 3/22, the anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones and Skull and Bones date. So very important. It being 196 days, again, ties us back into gold. Being, when we type that out and look it up, it being 196 and its alchemical weight, ladies and gentlemen. So something we're making connections to here that are very powerful. It being the 67th day of the year. And we know that ties us into, again, skull and bones, 76, as well as order, 322, giving us that 67. Very powerful. That's another name that the Brotherhood of Death goes by. So, very powerful. We know that Death is the 13th card in the Tarot deck. It being the transmutation state is what Death is. So, again, tying us back into the Brotherhood of Death with this 13 right here. So, it being the 81st day of the year, I find that very interesting when we know that we get that same 81 every single day in our hours, minutes, UTS, and seconds. We get that 81. That 108 we get in spiritual completion. Tying us in there. That is the spiritual completion number. So every day when we wake up and we rest again, we have a spiritual completion, a born again and dying transmutation state. Because again, I always tell you guys that nothing at all is random. Point blank period, giving us that same 81, that 180, as above, so below. Because everything here in the matrix, it counts, ladies and gentlemen. So, boom, gotta spell everything right, John. But everything counts here in the matrix, giving us that same 81 connection. All right, there's that 207. Pay attention to that because this all ties us into, well, we need to evolve, for one, as a human race. And I spell evolve. Boom, 8127. But it all ties us back into 2023. So, very important, giving us that same 81. Next year, being the 223 year, tying us into skull and bones, I think it's going to be very powerful and very important. But ultimately, this is all ritual, giving us that same 81 and 27 connection. So I'm going to be paying attention to the 81st day of the year closely, being 322, ladies and gentlemen. So just some very important connections that are undeniable. All right. Let me see where we want to go from here. On the 18th, this will be 4 days from our new moon. So again, that bearish energy still has one more day to transition through until the 23rd. 3 times 23 is 69. Bitcoin hit a 69K top. So very important connections we're getting there. So with all that being said, this is definitely very intriguing as we continue to pay attention to these date numerologies that are coming up. We see how this work has been able to prepare us for potential volatility in the markets. So tomorrow being St. Patrick's Day, could we see green, what does it give us? Green candles, giving us that 49, that 7-7 connection. Very powerful. We'll pay attention to that 23 that we know we get in Bitcoin. Definitely something to consider here. This connection to St. Patrick's Day tomorrow by the numbers, giving us that 117. So very important. We'll definitely pay attention to that again tomorrow. Green candles, green giving us 49. St. Patrick's Day giving us 49. So very important. Can we see a green candle tomorrow? Let me get a drink of water, please. Now, it's starting to get spicy in the matrix and getting really deep. We know we're seeing this nonsense of Ukraine and Russia continue to drag on, stealing the energy of the masses and harvesting your gold, which is your energy. So very important. We see Vladimir Zelensky cites a new Pearl Harbor or 9/11 attacks in appeal to U.S. Congress for help against Russia. And it's not surprising because John's been out here for months preparing you for, uh, wow, this exact thing. I've stated a new Pearl Harbor, giving us that, what does it give us? The 222, correct? How about that? Hmm, not surprising, given us that 222 as we're in the 222 year, and I've told you that order out of chaos, which is the elite's motto, gives us that same 75 and 222, as well as the same 78 in New Pearl Harbor. Huh. And he compared this to 9/11, which we know Twin Towers gives us that same 166 connection, as well as the 49 and the 43 and the 59 we've talked about today. The 104 is 14, the mirror of 41 that we get in Skull and Bones. So again, this is a Boaz and Yachin ritual that we're seeing take place because these elites feel a timeline, okay? They've put us in a loop and they fulfill new events matched by the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. So it's very important that we continue to make these connections. Ultimately, back to the Brotherhood of Death, because death is Saturn, the Grim Reaper. It is Kronos, Father Time, okay? That's who they worship, period. As well as other entities, Lucifer, other female goddesses, etc. So it's very important that we make these connections. All right. So this has really been just amazing to break this all down to, everything we're seeing, ultimately tying it down to breaking it down to gold and, Russia, Ukraine, even giving us that Ukraine, giving them, giving us that 166. Very important. Just, this 95 we get in Russia, Ukraine, that ties us into scripted reality. So it's very important that we continue to make these connections. Again, 76 that we get in Skull and Bones because they manipulate time, ladies and gentlemen. So very important. It's ultimately designed as such, or we're just coded as humans to fall for this nonsense. Um, but however you want to slice it, I'm not really here to debate anything. I'm just here to expose the code, and you can make the decisions for yourself. Okay, undeniable proof of it all. Um, let's see. Last connection I think we're gonna make here is hmm, um, I've lost it. I think. Yep, lost it. So again, we'll go ahead and skip all the decode. Hope you've enjoyed it today. Um, I don't really want to get dragged into any technical analysis today, other than as to why we're seeing the breakout of Bitcoin hit 41K today. XRP sitting at that 76 cents. Why is that important? Why is it matching up with the Gematria and a 3, 4, almost 5 year trend line that's been held as resistance, now held as support so far? All tied into the code. Bitcoin sitting at 39. We know why that's important. It's tying us back into the wolf's head, ladies and gentlemen, which is again skull and bones connection. Go and do your research. That 39. This is ultimately tying us back into the machine. Okay, giving us that very important. Oh, let's see, feed the machine. No, I lost it. But the machine is the wolf, the wolf's head. And ultimately, we have to continue to feed the machine. And that's something for you to do your own research about. But we're ultimately every day feeding the wolf, ladies and gentlemen. So with all that being said, take care and God bless. We'll see you in the next one. You're divergent. Become a glitch in the matrix and use your powers divergent. Pioneers rise and build your legacy.